broadcasting from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Welcome to the Gailey Show, the only daily LGBTQ radio news and talk show in the United States. I am your host, John Parker. My executive producer, Jim Pounds, joins me in the studio today. It is Friday, and we like to end our weeks talking about culture and entertainment because LGBTQ artists, writers, filmmakers, and theater makers are one of the most censored groups in America. So every week we want to lift up their work for you to read, watch, and to attend. What is on the show today? In the second half hour, the 6th annual Flip the Script Queer Film Festival opens October 3rd here in the Twin Cities. Festival director Matthew Berg shares the films that will be playing and the details of note. There are in-person tickets and also digital passes that you can use to watch from home. But up first, the U.S. premiere of Roald Dahl's The Enormous Crocodile, the musical, opens at Children's Theater Company on October 4th. In this production, the animals are brought to life through big, huge, colorful puppets. So the actors and the puppets are one. The book and lyrics is by Suhaila El-Bushra, and the music is by Ahmed Abdeldahi Galab. Joining us now is a cast member who plays Roly-Poly Bird, Allison Arnop. As an actor, Allison has worked at the Royal Shakespeare Theatre, the Dunmar Warehouse, the London Palladium, and the Barbican. Her voiceover work has been featured in numerous television shows, commercials, and video games. She has performed in musical improv troupes at the Melbourne International Comedy Festival and the exclusive Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And if you like cabaret and are in London, Allison regularly performs in venues throughout London's West End. Allison, welcome to The Gailey Show.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. So I was prepping, while I was prepping for our conversation, I realized I had never said Roald Dahl's name out loud before. I had to actually go and find an interview of him that was on YouTube. And of course, listeners may be thinking, well, who is Roald Dahl? Well, he is the author of James and the Giant Peach, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and Matilda, just to name a few, obviously, and also the author of The Enormous Crocodile. So, Allison, what is the story of The Enormous Crocodile?
Well, the story is that there is a very, very big, very mean-spirited crocodile who lives in the jungle, who one day decides that he's not getting enough food and he thinks it would be a good idea to eat a child. So he decides to leave the river, head into the village in search of some children to eat. And basically, that's the story. And it's the rest of the animals in the jungle are trying to stop that from happening, which includes my character, Roly-Poly Bird. And it's about him disguising ways to trick those children into being eaten, and us hopefully thwarting it with the help of the audience or, each other.
And so what can you, without giving spoilers away, how does Roly-Poly Bird interact with the Enormous Crocodile?
Roly-Poly Bird is actually one of the only fictional animals in terms of, a Roly-Poly Bird does not exist. And so it's been very fun to create the character of Roly-Poly Bird. She is very vain. She is very flamboyant. She is, when I got the breakdown for the audition, it said diva with anxiety. And I thought, wow, this part was made for me. So yeah, we like to think that she's maybe a cabaret singer past her prime, who she's a lot of bravado that she can rescue, she can save the day, but really she's a bit of a wimp. A lot of the animals, their personalities, they think they can do something, but they have this kind of weakness that they need to overcome before they can actually be who they really are. So yeah, Roly-Poly is colorful. She's a big diva. She enters with a big song and a dance. She has probably, only us in the rehearsal will know this, but a somewhat flirtatious relationship with the crocodile. That's really more something I've added. And it's just very playful, very fun. And the costuming is fantastic because I hold the puppet in my hand, but my body is the rest of the puppet, as it were.
For folks on YouTube, I'm going to add a photo. This is a production photo. And there we go. That is a really fantastic costume because we still get to see like your head, but you're in this, for folks who are just listening on the radio, you're in this gorgeous teal color with like feathers, but your hands are extended out, and the roly-poly bird's head is on your hands. So are you able, like, does the mouth open, like you can talk?
The mouth does open, but we have several different types of puppets in the show, and they all have slightly different conventions. So rather than with a normal puppet where you'd move the mouth to match the speaking, our puppet director Toby Ollier, who's designed all the puppets and is incredible, with these puppets that we are wearing, they don't actually open their mouths as they're speaking. They only open their mouths when they inhale or laugh or exclaim, so that our face is also part of the puppet.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But
Yeah.
it's funny because talking to people who've seen the show, which we've just finished in London, it's so quick that people accept that you are the puppet, or that the puppet is real, or they don't see the actor, you know, depending on the convention that we're doing. Because we have smaller puppets as well, which we are trying as actors, and we're just being puppeteers, really. We're blending, you know, where the puppet has the focus. But in these main animal characters, it's both of us.
Well, I want to make sure we get the photo credit in there, photo by Danny Kahn. And so there we go. If you get a chance, come to our YouTube channel. If you're not watching it there already, and it is a gorgeous costume. You can also go to children'stheater.org, where you can see multiple stills from the production. I'm sure by now folks have heard your accent, and this is the US premiere. So talk to us about, have you been with the show, which was originated in the UK from the beginning?
No, I've only just come on board this summer. So there was a production last year where it began. It was developed by Leeds Playhouse, Roald Dahl's story company, and Regent's Park Open Air Theatre. So they did a shorter run last year. All of our cast actually this year are new, who have just joined this year. And we opened in Windsor, where the Queen lives, earlier this summer. And then we did a run at this open air theatre. I myself am Irish, if my accent is sounding particularly strange to people who think that I don't sound English. I'm not, but I do live in London, and that's when I joined the process.
Fantastic. Wow. We are talking with actor, vocalist, and cabaret performer Alison Arnop, who is performing in the US premiere of Roald Dahl's The Enormous Crocodile, the musical, at Children's Theater Company. I just love saying his name now that I know it's Norwegian.
Yeah, now that you know,
I've heard him say that.
Yeah. You're one of the few people who I don't even pronounce it correctly, and I only realized that I was pronouncing it incorrectly like several months ago, which is quite embarrassing, to be honest.
Apparently there's a whole conspiracy theory about how it was supposed to be Ronald, and they forgot the N, and I'm like, what? No, it's Ronald. But tell us about bringing the show to the United States. Like, how did that become a thing? I mean, UK has a beautiful theater tradition. Like, why on earth are you coming to the United States? No, but Children's Theater Company in particular, how did you all know about the Children's Theater Company and know to come here?
I think the production last year was very well received, and a lot of interest grew from the production that was done last year. And so that would be, and also I feel like Roald Dahl's stories are quite universal. You know, he knows people know Matilda, people know those stories that have become films and musicals, and you know, so I do feel like as a brand, as a name, he's quite recognizable. And this story itself is for everyone. It's a universal story. I mean, there are a million different accents in this show anyway, which hopefully you will all be able to understand once you come to America, because some of them are quite regional specific to the UK. And I mean, the Children's Theatre Company is one of the best in the world for children's theatre, and our director Emily Lim and Toby, they really are passionate about bringing very high quality theatre to children. Children's theatre shouldn't be subpar just because they're a younger audience. So everything is just top notch. The music, the puppets, the costumes, the production value, the lighting is exquisite. So we just want to bring it to as many audiences as we can, really. And we're very excited to come and visit.
Well, it's a great time to be coming to Minnesota. And if I know we're biased to say this, and sorry, Chicago, but this is a beautiful city. You're going to absolutely love it. Will you be touring after Minneapolis, or is this like the place where you're going to be performing?
We stay in Minneapolis for the 2 months, and then we go to LA for about 4 or 5 weeks. So we finish in January, and it's just those two venues. So we're at the Kirk Douglas Theatre in LA. Yeah, we're super excited, especially to stay so long in one city. In the UK, venues are smaller. Often you're in a different venue every week. So it's very nice to have the luxury of getting to know a place and a venue. And I've already earmarked some drag clubs and some cabaret venues that I want to check out. So we're really excited to kind of integrate as fully into the community as we can once we're there.
You're going to love the audiences. We talk to children's theater actors all the time, and they just rave about the audiences here. So it is an institution children's theater company in Minnesota, and it's for a reason. So it's going to be really fun.
Are you doing 9 shows a week, or what's I know it's usually a little more than an equity.
Yes, I think we're doing anywhere from 9 to 12 shows a week, to be honest. It really depends. I don't have the schedule to hand, but especially in the run up to the holidays, we will be doing more. But yes, it's been...
Well, you'll do all your sightseeing on Monday then, I imagine.
Exactly.
Right.
Also, because it's a children's show, it's only 55 minutes to an hour. So we have lots of time, hopefully, between shows or in the mornings or evenings to explore.
That's right. Well, and is it the Minneapolis Institute of Art that's right next to Children's Theater? I mean, you literally go around the block.
Children's Theater is in St. Paul.
No, Children's Theater is in South
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis.
I'm in the Children's Museum. Oh my gosh. Sorry, just a day.
Contact me if you want to know something. John's the pretty face, not always the brightest.
Well, I do. Let's sidestep that right now. We could just go to a commercial break and just forget that I just said that. I know Jonathan's probably like, what are you doing? So we are going to take a break. I do want to share about our travel partner, Travel Marquette. And the reason why is that Marquette County and Marquette, Michigan have become a very special place for me. For the past decade, I've been going to Marquette every year, twice a year. And part of the reason why I love it is that I don't have to worry about traveling while queer while I'm there. It is a university town in a super blue city in a reliably blue county with a very active pride organization. And it has everything that I need from a long weekend getaway, good restaurants, excellent bookstores, relaxing hiking, time out in nature, LGBTQ-owned businesses. And I'm really grateful to be in partnership with Travel Marquette because the world sucks right now. And it's been so nice to just get in a car and drive up to a place where I can be myself, relax, eat good food, buy what some people claim is too many books, but really you can't have enough, and to just be in nature and refill my cup. If that's something that you want to do, you can go to travelmarquette.com to start your journey. Travelmarquette.com. You're listening to The Gaily Show on AM 950 KTNF and WCPT 820, Chicago's Progressive Talk. We'll be back with more from Allison when we come back. Welcome back to The Gaily Show. I am John Parker. We are coming up on the bottom of the hour. The U.S. premiere of Roald Dahl's The Enormous Crocodile, the musical, premieres at Children's Theater Company, opening on October 4th here in the Twin Cities. One of its stars, Allison Arnop, is here joining us to talk all about it. Allison, I am curious, as a member of the LGBTQ community and doing work with children, talk to us about the experience of doing that.
This is my first children's show as a performer. I guess the other performance that I have done that comes close to doing this is pantomime, which is a very British tradition, which really speaks to adults and children kind of on two separate levels. There's a lot of knowing. It's a lot more double entendre. It's a lot more that kind of situation. But that as a form is, I would say, inherently queer, because in pantomime tradition, we have the pantomime dame who is always AMAB, and now things are just changing a lot. There's a lot of trouser rolls. It's quite similar to like commedia dell'arte and opera in that sense, where it's I think inherently queer from its roots. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any particular stories really. It's always been something I've been surrounded by. I have, a privilege in that I am bi, and so I'm not always labeled, as someone who is in the community, which has its own, disadvantages. But I love working with children, and in my own personal work, I do a lot of work with children. I've always been a teacher. I teach singing for a living. And then I also do a lot of very adult cabaret work. And those strands don't really cross over. And I don't think one affects my ability to be good in the other.
Right.
No, tell us about that cabaret work.
I have always been a singer, obviously. And then this past year, I've been developing my solo show, which is called Girl Boss God, where I where I basically play God if she was an influencer, and she's like kind of, I guess, a Kim Kardashian Valley girl. So I do get to. I'm very excited to go to LA to see if my accent holds up, basically. And that's a one-woman musical that I've been writing. I've written the music for, and hopefully we'll take it to some fringe theatre next year if I have time to continue developing it. Other than that, I do a lot of, cabarets often as an Irish character or hosting or, the Girl Boss God, she is somewhat a drag queen depending on what the context is.
Right. That's very exciting. I'm from Los Angeles originally.
Oh my God.
I think you'll find both. I think you'll like both.
Oh, myself, as she says.
LA is sometimes a disappointment when people get there because their expectations are so high. Here, I don't think people necessarily have high expectations, and maybe that works in our
overrated.
favor.
I have been to LA once before. I did an improv course and it was on Hollywood Boulevard. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be in Hollywood. And I got there and I was so afraid and devastated by it.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I lived for 3 years off of Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah.
By the Hotel Roosevelt. And it's an experience.
Yeah. It's very different to the town I grew up in Ireland. Let's just say that.
Which I should note. I know Ireland is not part of the UK. I said that earlier.
Yes.
No.
Absolutely not part of the UK,
Right.
which I'm sure on some days is a very good thing for you. But not to get into any of the UK politics. We are talking with actor, vocalist, and cabaret performer Alison Arnop, who is performing in the US premiere of Roald Dahl's The Enormous Crocodile, the musical at Children's Theatre Company. I am curious, was there something when you got into doing the show that you weren't expecting to come out? What about either the character or the production that you're like, oh, this is a pleasant surprise now that I've gotten into it?
Yes, the production itself, the company, the director, Emily and Toby, the whole team, including the producers, I would say one had the most women and queer folk on its team. And I don't know if it's anything to do with that, but has been the most compassionate workspace that I've ever worked in terms of care, in terms of just really checking in and being very mindful of just having an actual safe space for people. A lot of times people talk about making safe space, but just because you say it's a safe space doesn't make it a safe space. You have to kind of back it up with resources and, and feedback. And I've been just so delighted and impressed by the way they've taken feedback from us, the way they've allowed us to have voices and be heard. And I think that's because it's children's theatre, just that is such a lovely thing for us as actors to, energy always trickles down from the top. So it's really nice to have that when we're then performing, we can feel that same sense of, we've got you, we're all good. So we can hold you in this hour in a really fun, positive way. On top of that, I've never worked with puppets before professionally. And so that was so exciting. I just fell in love with our puppet director. I think he's so amazing. And his puppets, to me, they all have their own little personalities. In the show, we've named them all. The audience won't know, but they all have their own names. They have their own accents. It's the relationship with this object, ostensibly, but it's becoming a character, is just so fun. As someone who is a character actor, as someone who does a lot of improv and that kind of stuff, just going, right, what's the voice what's the mannerism of this puppet? Right. That's just been a whole other extension of creativity, where, especially for the smaller puppets, there are a lot of different small puppets that, as I mentioned, we the actors are meant to blend and put focus on this small object. So you're trying to, Toby calls it like putting your brain in your hands. So just seeing, what way does it need to move? And I'm sure if there's any puppeteers listening, this will all sound absolutely obvious. But as someone who's never worked with these delightful toys before, it was so fun.
There's is it the only one or one of the only puppet theaters in the Twin Cities that you all have to check out? Open Eye Theater.
Yeah, Open Eye
Yeah.
has
Some really fantastic
an emphasis on puppetry.
emphasis.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the only ones, if not the only one in America. So if they have a show, I'm sure you all will enjoy that on a whole other level. Can you share with us briefly? We've got about a minute left. Well, I've got a minute left, so I'm going to have to wrap it there. Maybe when you're here, we can have you back on. You can tell us all about how you're loving Minnesota. I'm really selling it right now, aren't I?
Yes.
Well, the production is the U.S. premiere of Roald Dahl's The Enormous Crocodile, the musical. It opens at Children's Theater Company on October 4th. We have a link in our show notes and on our website so that you can get your tickets. The website is childrenstheater.org. You can connect with Allison on Instagram at AllisonArnop.com. I'm sorry, that's the website, AllisonArnop.com. On Instagram, she is at Allison, ARNOPP. And thank you, Allison, for joining us today. This has been very special.
Thank you.
And break a leg. When we come back, we're going to be talking about film. The 6th annual Flip the Script Film Festival is opening the first week of October. We're going to have Matthew Berg here, who's going to tell you all about it. You're listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk where facts still matter. Coming to you from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and airing on WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk. Welcome back to The Gailey Show. I am John Parker. I am in my studio. I'm in the studio with my executive producer, Jim Pounds. It is 33 minutes after the hour. The mission of Flip the Script Festival is to remove barriers to accessing queer film. The festival is in its 6th year and is an annual hybrid 3-day queer film festival that celebrates queer stories from LGBTQ filmmakers from all over the globe. This year, you can watch the movies in person at the Bill Pohlad Cinema at Film North, or you can buy a digital pass to screen the films at home. We'll be talking about that. Festival dates are October 3rd through the 11th of 2025. We are now joined by Flip the Script's director, Matthew Berg. Matthew has previously worked as the production services manager at the Minnesota Film and TV Board. He served as the festival manager for the Minneapolis-St. Paul and the Minneapolis-St. Paul International Film Festival. He is also, when not working on Flip the Script, the programming director for Zeitgeist Minnesota Film Festival in Duluth, Minnesota, which shines a light on local films, Indigenous voices, and stories from across the Midwest, alongside international films to bridge communities through new perspectives. Also a friend of The Gailey Show. Matthew, welcome back.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Okay, so should we start with, can you share the films or some of the films that will be coming up here in just a few weeks away?
Yeah, so we've got 5 feature films this year, and all 4 of them you can watch virtually. We have one that you have to watch it at the Film North screening. It's our only opportunity to show it. We got one in-person screening. And that screening is called Night Stage. It's from Brazil. It is a thriller drama. It is very sexy. It follows a young actor and a young politician who start a secret affair and discover that they share a fetish for risky sexual encounters that keep escalating and putting kind of their whole infrastructure, their whole ecosystem at risk, but they just can't, they are obsessed with each other.
You've got to love independent film. I mean,
Yeah.
really.
This one, it's so beautiful. It's really tense. But the final scene is so wild, so off the rails that you end being like, wow. So I highly recommend getting tickets to catch that. It's on Saturday, October 4th at Film North, and it screens at 7 p.m.
Can we tell people, because there are a limited number of seats in the space, boy,
Yes.
when Matthew says that, he's not kidding.
Yes.
Get those tickets for that showing like right now.
We'll
Yeah.
listen to this interview and then go
I'm
and get
sorry.
your
Yes. Thank you. Yes, good point.
So, what is your opening night film? What kicks
Our
off?
opening night film is Lesbian Space Princess. It is an adult animation feature that comes from Australia. It is hilarious. It follows the space princess, Sarah, as she's recently been broken up by her kind of toxic ex-girlfriend, who then finds her girlfriend finds herself kidnapped by the white straight malians who are holding her hostage because they want Sarah's most powerful tool in the galaxy, her La Brea. And so Sarah's trying to make her way out of protected gay space into the wider galaxy to try to save her ex. Whether or not that's a good idea.
Is this a documentary? Wait, no. About the U.S.?
It's a look into the future.
It's a look into the future. And when does that kick off?
That is going to be playing Friday, October 3rd at 7 p.m. at Film North, but will also be available virtually from the 3rd through the 11th until we run out of tickets for it.
So for our folks who are listening in Chicago, could they also access these digital passes?
Oh yeah, the virtual component you can watch in Minnesota. We also have a little umbrella into Chicago. We discovered a few years ago that in the rural areas in upstate Minnesota where they have satellite internet, it'll ping as them being in Chicago. So this is like a tech workaround we found that it is accessible. So you can watch virtually from there as well.
That's a cool advantage for
there you
our
go,
friends
Chicago
in Chicago
listeners.
Yeah.
Because these films are not what I mean. We were so fortunate to have you and to have this festival because these films are treasures that most people don't find. So I've encouraged people in Chicago to take advantage of that.
Definitely. And Lesbian Space Princess, at least it's going to get a release in the US. I think it comes a couple weeks after our festival, maybe a week later. I don't know how wide it will be, but it is from a newer distributor, Cineverse, who people may be familiar with. They released the Frightener series, I believe is what it is, with the clown.
Oh, gosh.
So they are really expanding their catalog now. And it's great to see that they are championing some wonderful queer cinema.
That's
I
great.
love it. When I saw the poster, I just laughed out loud for Lesbian Space Princess.
Yes, it is hilarious.
Okay, and what are your other feature films that you've got for the weekend and for the week?
Also playing on Saturday at 5 p.m., we have the documentary Sally, which tells the story of Sally Gerhardt, an iconic queer political activist who was partnered with, I'm going to totally blank on the name, and I shouldn't.
Well, we'll look
that up.
Yes. She's a partner a long time, Harvey Milk. Harvey Milk, I did it. To unite the community, which was much more segregated in the 70s. And, they revised he needed a lesbian to work alongside him if he wanted to rally the lesbian community in his run, in his campaign. And she really had a very significant impact on a lot of his campaign. Unfortunately, she joined really close to his assassination. And then she, became a very recognized, outspoken activist and someone who really was a pioneer in the women's movement at the time, and women going out west, acquiring land, creating communities that were really centered and run around women. And she is such a character. She is a part of this documentary, and you can't help but fall in love with her. She is a totally unique human being, and whose story is really undertold.
That was, so for folks who don't know, Harvey Milk was the first out gay person elected to the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, and I believe also in the country, but fact check my history there, and who was assassinated by a fellow Board of Supervisor member, the infamous Twinkie defense. But here, this is when you see like the movie that was made a few years ago, like this wasn't part of it. And this history here. So it's adding a whole other beautiful layer of
Mhm,
history
mhm.
to Harvey and his, but not just Harvey and his legacy, Sally's, right, as well. And this is coming off of the Trump administration removing Harvey's name off of the ship that was named after him in the Navy. So I'm very glad to me personally. I'll be looking forward to that one on Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening at 5.
Yes, Saturday evening at 5.
Okay, and then your next feature film.
It's also on Saturday. This one is at 9 p.m. and it is called Puppy Girl. It is a gonzo documentary from Flip the Script alum, Henry Hansen, who is a filmmaker from Chicago. And this is his second feature. It is bananas. It is everything gonzo. It is what is real, what isn't real, as he is following a friend who is discovered a part of her sexuality she's starting to explore, previously identifying as asexual, now wanting to explore more. And that pathway for her is through exploring puppy fetish porn and looking into exploring that and exploring what it means to be a puppy girl. It is a wild ride. It is. If you like previous things that you've seen at the festival that go outside the box, that are just a little, what am I watching? This is so different. This is for you. It is such a fun ride. And it's just around an hour long.
And I guess I just need to say for folks, because of the times we're living in, this isn't actual puppies, folks.
No.
Like actual puppies. I know the far right and MAGA are trying to make you think all sorts of things about us, but that's not that. You'll have to watch the film to understand fully what we're talking about here. We are, speaking of talking, we're talking with the director of the Flip the Script Queer Film Festival, Matthew Berg. The 6th annual, I can't believe it's been 6 years already, festival kicks off October 3rd here in the Twin Cities. You can watch in person over the weekend. There are digital passes available that you can screen the films through October 11th. And listeners in Chicago, that means you too. You can get those passes. Matthew, something that I also love that you all do is the commitment to shorts. So can you tell us about the short film offerings that you have for the festival this year?
Yeah. So we have 32 short films this year that expand across 5 short programs. We have our kind of tried and true comedy shorts, which are just what they sound like. They're really goofy shorts that'll make you laugh. We have our documentary shorts. And this year, one that is a really strong doc that's in there is called Cashing Out, which looks at the phenomenon of selling your life insurance policy as someone who is living with HIV or AIDS in the early 90s as a means to get cash so that you could live, and folks who were basically investing in getting that payout once that person passed away. And it's told by a filmmaker whose father actually purchased some of these policies, and him exploring people who, the gentleman who started this, as well as people who sold their policies, they're still alive today, and reflecting on the impact of that as a practice and how that benefited him as a young child and things that their family could do. So that's really, our documentary shorts are really great, tell powerful stories, look at things we maybe don't know about from our past or recent past, and even things today. We also have our Ookie Spooky shorts, which is like our horror shorts that can't help but be a little silly too. We have a few things that are definitely just like creepy, but then a little tongue-in-cheek horrors as well. Our 4th program is called Love and Relationships, and that is more of our dramatic shorts. That's going to look at things that really do have themes that tie to friendships, family, and love, and this have a little bit more dramatic tone. And then last, we have our Outside the Box shorts, which again is music videos, performance pieces, explorations of exploring narratives in a different way. And they have funny things happening in them, that sexy things happening in them. It's a real grab bag. And that one also comes in at just under an hour. So if you haven't explored outside the box before, this is a perfect program to just give yourself an hour and see these different takes.
Wow.
And these 32 short films are also included in the digital pass?
Yeah. So our All Access Pass, you can redeem a ticket to every in-person screening, as well as a view to every virtual as well. So you can watch everything twice. If you come during the weekend when we're in person at Film North and you really love something, you can invite your friends over and watch it again at home virtually, except for Night Stage. So that all access pass
Right.
gets you, as long as tickets are remaining, a seat to in person or a view at home. And we have a Sunday night celebration party at the Black Heart of St. Paul, where we rented out their lounge space in the back, and we're going to be doing karaoke. We're going to order some pizzas. It'll be a fun time to just kiki about films you watched, or just to meet new friends. So that pass also gets you, you can redeem a ticket to the party as well if you're in town.
Love that.
That's
And
great.
so how do folks is there like a like through Roku, or is there a special app, or is it like a web link? Like, how does that work, the digital passes?
Okay. So our virtual component is hosted through Eventive, and they have an app that you can use with the Roku, Apple TV, Fire Stick, and Google Chrome, I think Chromecast. Otherwise, you can watch on your phone or a tablet or a computer straight through the festival website. It'll start playing through the cinema hosted at Eventive.
Perfect.
Wow.
And if you're tech savvy, you can figure out how to like connect your computer to your TV if you don't have a streaming device.
Well, if you have a streaming device, then that's much easier
Yeah.
than trying to cast things. I know that when we've gotten screeners for things, I'm like, okay, how do I get this onto the TV? It's a whole thing. So I'm glad that you're making it easy for folks. The 6th annual Queer Film Festival kicks off October 3rd here. The Flip the Script Queer Film Festival. We're gonna have more with Matthew Berg. We're gonna take a short break here. Still lots to talk about in the film festival space. You're listening to The Gailey Show on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk where facts matter. You can also follow us on Blue Sky. We're at thegaileyshow.org on Blue Sky. Welcome back to the Gailey Show. I'm your host, John Parker. We are coming up on the top of the hour. The 6th annual Flip the Script Queer Film Festival opens October 3rd, runs through October 11th. Festival director Matthew Berg is with us. So I actually have a question about Saturday night. So you have like 3 features in a row at 5, 7, and 10? 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Almost got it. So how, like, is there like, are there places to eat around like Film North? Like people can hang out? Like what is if I want to be there the whole night, what are the fun things that I can do in between screenings?
Yeah, there are places nearby in the neighborhood where you can get some food. We're going to put together a list. So when folks arrive, I'll add it to the festival website, but also something they can grab and take with them. If they're there for all day Saturday or coming to hang out with us all day Sunday. There is a Jimmy John's right across the street, which is super fast and easy and convenient if you're quick catching something between films. But there's also some coffee shops and things in the area as well that we're excited to direct folks to.
Cool.
Wonderful. And how did you, so for folks who don't know how you put the film festival together, like tell us about how you go about selecting the films that are going to be in this year's festival.
We collect submissions through Film Freeway, which we usually open about a month or 2 after a festival ends. So you look for that to open again, possibly right away in November, hopefully right by the end of the year, depending on how quickly we get it all together. And then we look through those. We utilized a volunteer screening team this year for the first time. We've had screeners helping us in the past, but it's been a few years. So you get hundreds of films that come in and they take a look at things. We give them a rubric. We look at how they're responding to it as well. We watch everything and we come to a consensus of what is really rising to the top. What do we have the budget to get? And then like this year where I'm like, and then maybe we spend a little bit more and book some more shorts than we planned. And that starts to come together mainly for our shorts programs. We definitely get some features through there. Sally came to us through there, which was phenomenal. But sometimes we'll usually, for features, have to also reach out to distributors, people that are handling films that are on the festival circuit right now that we want to take a look at. And so we'll screen those separately from submissions. And as it comes together, it reveals to us what the larger program should be. And we make our requests and start wheeling and dealing with distributors on rates and what we have going on. to make it work inside our budget.
Were there, because this is the 6th annual year, were there things about themes or the films this year that maybe surprised you? That you're like, oh, I didn't expect this type of theme or question that filmmakers were trying to answer?
There wasn't necessarily a strong theme, I think, that came out. There's a lot of exploration in all directions. But there's a lot of, not surprisingly, I think, introspection on our relationships with each other and our families, and connecting for romantic reasons, which I think are pretty universal. I feel like that's what I saw that was coming through. I imagine that next year that we might see a different shift in tone, some things that are starting to inevitably be a response to what's going on in the world.
Right.
But
yeah, because I guess these films would have been made not anticipating the hellscape that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And the focus of Flip the Script too is to look at, unexpected stories that we haven't traditionally seen as representation in queer media. So while we do have a conscious effort to avoid things that would maybe be considered like trauma stories, that doesn't stop us from, showing something that's dramatic and is maybe a more difficult subject, but our characters aren't necessarily being punished for who they are, or it feels like an honest moment and told from a queer filmmaker.
We are talking with the director of the Flip the Script Queer Film Festival, Matthew Berg, which kicks off here in the Twin Cities on October 3rd. But with digital all access passes, you can watch in Chicago. Jimmy had a question?
Well, I'm curious if the audience has evolved over those 6 years. I mean, do you look around and say, well, there's that one, and I know that person, and I know that, or has it changed in any way? I feel like a lot of these filmmakers are maybe younger. I don't know if that's true, but I feel like they're not as well established or early in their career or something. Does that mean a younger audience comes to see them, or how would you characterize that?
Our audience has definitely been growing since I've been involved, and since we've started presenting in person, which our first year for that was 2022. There's definitely folks that we see coming back every year and that join us at our monthly screenings. But it's always exciting to see, get a dozen people that come to a monthly screening and I don't recognize anyone. That's so cool that we've selected something that they're interested in. So we hope to see that continue to grow. Our audience, based on our polling that is framed around grant reporting, the majority of our audience does fall between the age of 25 and 65, which is, a large range, but that's how they want it collected. So it is a good mix, and this will be our first year with an in-person venue that's in the Twin Cities. So really excited to see, how that helps folks come and attend in person rather than watch at home. So
that University Avenue location, I mean, that's on a bus line.
Ideal.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
just up the road from a light rail station. So it should be very easy to get there. We'll have a map up soon too for where you can park. There's free parking in the area that people can utilize, which is also always ideal in the city. You don't have to really overthink where you're going to go.
Exactly. Well, it is the 6th annual Flip the Script Queer Film Festival. It runs October 3rd through the 11th. You can get your tickets at flipthescriptfest.org. You can also find them on a variety of different socials. Just search for their handle, Flip the Script Fest. Thank you, Matthew. We look forward to seeing you soon. And thank you for all that you do for queer film here in Minnesota.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. It's always fun to be here.
Likewise, friend of the show. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening and or watching today. You can keep the gay going on all weekend long. On Saturday afternoon is Pride on AM 950. You can catch up with the best of the Gaily Show at 2 p.m. Twin Cities Pride Amplified is at 3 p.m. The Legal Trans Woman is at 4 p.m. And the afternoon is rounded out by the Downright Upright Show with Philip Anthony at 5 p.m. And then on Sunday on WCPT 820 at 11 a.m., it's Out Chicago. Sunday brunch with your gay best friends, Alan Miller and Scott Duff. And until next week, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.